Hi friends, welcome back to Calm in the Chaos Homeschool. If you're new here, my name is Davine and I homeschool 4 kids ages 11, 12, 13, and 15. They are going into 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th grade. So we are in middle school and just starting high school. So today I'm going to be doing another planning video. So I'm going to be planning out my children's work. I'm going to be coming up with like a guideline or an order or how frequent they're going to be doing different subjects of their independent work. So if you're interested in seeing how I organize all that, stick around. Now I'm going to move into my boys. Okay, so here is the checklist that I've been using. I'm going to change this now, 2024. 2025. Okay, so I like to start with what I ended the year with. So this is kind of what I ended the year with, though this looks like it is Logan only. So let me open up a new tab here and get Dakota. Okay, so I have two different ones here because this one here, he wasn't losing his checklist all the time. So I could just hand him his checklist each week and he wouldn't lose it. This one was always losing his checklist. So I ended up laminating like 2 of these and putting it in his binder, like literally in his binder, and then just writing on it and then erasing each week. So I don't want to do that. So I'm not sure how I'll be assigning his work. Maybe he has to keep his checklist with me or something. Or maybe we just have to like staple, I don't know. I don't know how we're gonna make sure he doesn't lose his checklist, but I would prefer to have them both here and then I can just print this off, plan it out, cut it in half and give to each child. So I'm gonna look first at what we did last week and think about what is realistic. What do I think that we can accomplish in the upcoming school year? So we're still gonna be doing devotions every day. I'm still gonna need to do the morning meeting with my girls. So we'll probably just keep that schedule the same for now, unless something changes. I'm gonna keep them doing math 4 days a week, and it's gonna be those 4 days. And then this year I did have more time at home during Monday, Tuesday. So that's when I chose to do writing with my boys. I don't know my schedule exactly, and you probably won't know your schedule exactly. We have like speech and OT, and we have like our charter school extracurriculars that could be on Tuesday or Wednesday or Thursday. So I never know until we start the school year when that's going to be. But I know it's going to be one of the days, and I know I'm going to have speech and OT one of the days. And so this will have to change, but I kind of like to come up with an initial plan, and then I adjust things as I learn more information about our schedule. So I'm going to just assume it's the same schedule as last year. Who knows? Maybe it will be, probably not, but I'm going to continue to do like their IEW writing twice a week, and then I'll have them do handwriting the other 2 days. So that's lighter. They can do those on their own. And then here's what I had for their loop. So 3 on Monday because we were not as busy. 2, we were a little busier. I think I just want to front load on Monday, right? So Tuesday we had a little less. Wednesday we had a little less. And Thursday was one of our busy days. We were out of the house a lot of the day. So I just had 1 there. And then Friday, not as much again. So I think that's probably what they can handle. I don't think I can add to that. I might change this as I'm going through their work, and I'll show you that thought process when I get started, like their actual loop, like what am I going to schedule in their loop. So I'll show you that. But anyways, I'm going to leave this the same for now. And then they had reading, and then they were doing reading log twice a week. I'm going to take a look at their reading log and see how much more they have. And then once they're done their reading log, I might have them start on more written narration again. What I am going to add is oral narration. And I'm going to ask them that I sign it when they do an oral narration. And maybe I'll just do that twice a week, and I'll leave Friday, they just read. And then I have cubby check at the end because their cubbies are always a disaster, or their schoolwork's all over the place. So I just added that at the end of last year, just so like you need to do a cubby check. So they go and they make sure everything is in their cubby and it's not a disaster. So let me grab their reading logs and see how much we have left of that. Okay, so here's one of my kids' reading logs. This is not consumed elementary reading log or journal. It's for grades 2 to 5. It's totally fine for my kids. It is pretty simple reading log. And I'm just gonna flip through. I got the PDF. I purchased the PDF of this so I could print as many or as little as I wanted. And I really did not print out the whole thing. We're not doing reading logs every day. But turns out I printed off probably almost double what I needed. So I think what I'll do, let me see, we're about this far through, let's see. So this is done, and this is not. So looks like we got about 2/3 of the way through. So I think that's good. I think we'll just continue with that until we finish up the pages that I have here. And then we'll just move into written narration. So that'll be a nice way. We can start with what we know, start with what we've been doing, and then partway through the year, we can kind of advance to written narration. So I'm gonna do that with my boys. So for now, we're just gonna keep that for, this is my youngest, the same. All right, so let's look at my older son, his one, and I might just put this down with my other, like stick that down here. But we'll just look at this here for now. Okay, so I have daily devotions, math 4 days a week, handwriting on those 2 days, writing on these 2 days. He has an extra line here, so he's been doing Explode the Code. It'll be either Explode the Code or just phonics. I have an Evan Moore phonics that he's gonna move into. The loop was the same, reading log, oral narration, reading log. Okay, so we're adding oral narration. I'm gonna take this off. We did not do that. We're very bad at that. Okay, so that's sort of like what their weekly schedule is as far as independent work. So for now, I'm not really changing anything there. So now I'm gonna look at this page here and mostly looking at their language arts. And that's usually what goes in that loop there. So I'm gonna be taking a look at this and I'm going to be coming up with how often I want things to be coming up, looping in. So I'm gonna go to another page here. Okay, so as you can see, I do a lot of things on the computer. I do just organize my thoughts a lot online, and then I just print things off as needed. So this is the loop sheet from last year. So I had all the things that we looped through. And so basically on this checklist here, when it came to loop, I would just write down the things in order from here. So I'd write these things down and I would check them off. That means on chart. So I'd check these off as we go through, and I would pre-plan like what pages we are doing if it needed pre-planning. So like typing, it was just go type for 10 minutes. But whatever needed planning, I could pre-plan. And so I would have a 2-page, this would be 2 pages, and I would pre-plan and I would just kind of check things off as I went through. So very easy weekly planning to fill in that loop. So basically I have the items that we are doing here. And as you can see, fix it is twice because I wanted that to come up twice. Anything else that was twice? Maybe not. So I kind of come up with what we have and then I decide how often I want these things to loop through based on my goals and how much left of something that we have. So I'm going to kind of look at this and decide on how often I'm going to be going through these different things on the loop. So the first thing I'm looking here on the chart here, my language arts section. So the first thing I have is IEW, that we just do twice a week. That doesn't need to be on my loop. Then I have Beowulf grammar, also is not going to be on my loop because that's something I'm going to be doing with my boys. So I'm just going to incorporate that into our group work time. Okay, so something new for me is editor-in-chief, and I don't have that on me. So I'm gonna go quickly and find it. And I'm going to look at like the table of contents here and just kind of try to get an idea for like how many pages there are. So there are about, I guess, 100 and I'm going to say 107 pages. So how many pages would that be a week? Let me grab my calculator. Okay, so 107 pages. Like I said, we're shooting for more of a 32 week. So I'm going to try that out. I'm going to see how that goes. So 3.34 pages. So I'm going to write that down. I'm going to write that down here just so I have the information. I don't have to do this again. So 3.3 pages. So this is something I would do twice a week, I think. So I'm going to aim for doing this twice a week. So I'm just going to write that on the back here. We write editor-in-chief twice a week, and I will do 1 or 2 pages each time. And if it means we don't finish editor-in-chief, that's okay. As we go through the loop, some things are going to be dropping off because I am going to be finishing a few of these subjects and I'm not replenishing them. So towards the end, my loop might happen a little more frequently. So I'm just going to write down editor-in-chief 2 times a week. And it's 3.3 pages is what I'm aiming for. Okay, so next we have vocabulary wordly wise, finish wordly wise. So that is not going to need to happen quite as often. All right, so to figure out where we're at as far as wordly wise, because we are doing some of that this summer, I just grabbed my son's summer school sheet here. So wordly wise, he's going to be finishing, looks like lesson 13. There are 20 lessons, so that leaves 7 lessons, and it takes him 6 times to get through because there's 5 sections, and then 1 section I break up into 2. So 42 sessions. So 42 divided by 32 is, we'll write it down. It's 1.3 times a week to do the sections. I'm just going to aim for 2 times a week, and when we finish, we'll be finished. So just wrote that there. Okay, so next on his chart here, we have reading detectives. So we're going to finish up reading detectives. He's not doing that in the summer, so let me go grab his book to see how much he has left on that. All right, so I went and grabbed the reading detectives here, and let's take a look here. So we have an activity that we're going to do together, so that's 1 session. So he has 19 more lessons in here, so we're going to be done that pretty soon. I'm going to aim for once a week until we finish that. So reading detectives, 1 times a week, and I said there were 19 total. 19 divided by 32, so that's like roughly half a session. It can pop up in the rotation less often. All right, next on the list is we have language arts. It is Queen Homeschool Language Lessons for the Elementary Child, Volume 2. So I'm gonna take a look at those. All right, so I have this lovely book here. The cover has fallen off. My upcoming 6th and 7th graders are in different points of this. However, I do try to keep their loop pretty similar, so they're doing the same things on each day. So actually what I do is when my upcoming 6th grader is doing vocabulary, my 7th grader will be doing spelling, because that is something that each of them do and the other one does not. But when they're doing language lessons, even though they're in different points of it, I still have them do it on the same day. So I'm going to base how often they do it based on the younger son, because he's a bit further ahead. And then if that older son doesn't finish it this year, I'm just going to be okay with that. He has more things to do. So let's take a look at this. We have, he is doing that this summer. So he's going to be doing up to lessons 140, and there are 180 lessons. So that leaves 40 lessons divided by 32. So I do want that to be finished. So I'm going to say 2 times a week for that one. I'm not going to do the calculations on that, but that will be language lessons for the elementary child. So I'm going to try to loop through that twice a week. And even though I'm saying twice a week, it's probably not going to happen because we have a lot of things here. So it will actually happen only once a week, sometimes twice a week. But it's more like how frequent it will be in the rotation. So far, reading detectives will come up every second time the other ones come up. All right, so next we have Big Life Journal for teens. I don't have that with me either. I'm not exactly sure. I feel like we did the other one, and when my girls did it, they did it twice a week, and I just had a certain amount of pages that I felt was very doable. We did it twice a week, and we were able to finish it very easily within the year. So I'm just going to go ahead and say twice a week for that Big Life Journal, and assume that we will be done that at some point as well. Reading logs, narration journals, that is on my schedule already. I don't have to loop that. Typing, something that I'll try to do 2 times a week as well, because we have the program. So I'm just going to say 2 times a week. And then Handwriting is already on our schedule. We're just doing 2 pages a week for that. And then the phonics, Explode the Code, is already on my older son's schedule. So other than phonics, spelling, and the vocabulary, they both have the same things until my 6th grader starts dropping off on some of these things before my 7th grader, in which case I might try to find something to replace it. I think I'm gonna just play it by ear. So for example, if he finishes this first, which he will, I'm gonna have to think about if I want to replace that or if I just want him to have more free time to explore his interests. He does have a lot of interests. So yeah, there's that. And then I also have to think about, do I want to add piano to this list? So I don't know. That's sort of something they kind of do on their own. So if they're interested in that, that's something they can do on their own. Maybe I would add piano to my younger sons if I needed a space holder. So while my 7th grader is finishing up on this, I would just have my younger son go and do the piano when he's on those days, if that makes sense. So this is what I have right now. And so this is sort of what I'm going to enter in on here, or how often I'm going to be entering that on here. So let's take a look. We don't have Fix It anymore, but we will have Editor in Chief. So that's kind of a direct conversion. Instead of Fix It, we're going to be doing Editor in Chief. Oh, and I don't know if I let you know we made that change. So I'm not sure if I said we were doing Fix It or Editor in Chief in my curriculum picks at the end of last year for language arts, but towards the end of the year, this son was sort of showing a dislike for Fix It at the moment. I really like Fix It and I would have continued with Fix It, but I thought I'd give them something different since we are doing Beowulf grammar. So Editor in Chief is more like fixing like punctuation, and I don't know, it's a little different of a program. So I thought I'd just give them something different to do. Okay, so language arts is the Queen Homeschool language lessons for the elementary child. And then he has Wordly Wise. So I have Editor Chief, Wordly Wise. I have language lessons. I have typing here already. And I have Reading Detective. So then I'm gonna have Big Life Journal come up under here. So I'm gonna delete this row and put Big Life Journal there. And so those are all the things that I have on this list here. Now I'm going to think about each item and how long it'll take and how similar it is to each other, because I want the loop to not be all like hard things in a row or easy things in a row. I want it to kind of alternate so that their brains don't get tired that day if we happen to have some things back to back. So Editor in Chief and language arts are very similar. I don't think I want those next to each other. So I'm going to move. Maybe I'm going to put Big Life Journal in there. So I'm going to move that down and I'm going to move Big Life Journal up here. They like doing that. That's something easy. So we can do that in between 2 language arts things. And then Wordly Wise is also a little more. So I'm going to move that down. And I'm going to put typing up here. So I'm going to move that up here. So just kind of break up that language arts. And then we have Reading Detective, which is kind of a lot as well. So maybe, what should I do? Okay, Editor in Chief. Maybe I'm going to move Editor in Chief down here for now and move Reading Detective up here. And then stick Editor in Chief. Yes, because I think Editor in Chief is going to be a little easier. So if that makes sense to you, why I'm doing that. So that's kind of my order, except we're not going to be doing Reading Detective as often. So now I'm going to copy and paste this, just these here, because I want those to happen 2 times. So based on here, everything is twice a week. That is the one that's once a week. So everything else will happen twice before we do another Reading Detective. Now that I have this, I can go and paste that up here. So just pasting that in. So you can see I have space for that, and I just made it so it fits a page perfectly. And now I can do this. So I'm going to copy and paste on each of these lines. So then, like I said, next to here, I'll put the page numbers, and I can pre-plan all that. So I can pre-plan all my Reading Detectives. I can pre-plan the Big Life Journal once I have it. I can pre-plan what I want them to do in language arts. And then it's just easy to put on their weekly checklist. So that is his chart. And now I'm going to take that same layout here and I'm going to move that over for my other son. Let's see, that's this one here. All right, so I'm going to do the same thing for him, except he does not have wordly wise, he has spelling. So he has spelling there and spelling here. All right, so that's exactly the same. So every day they're doing the same things, but not the same things, right? They're doing mostly the same things, just wordly wise and spelling are sort of, each of them have one of those. So, all right, so that is my two sons loop, and we have their schedules ready to go, and it will change. We'll do it and we'll see how it goes. And if one day feels too heavy and one day is less heavy, I can move this around. I can say, okay, we're going to add another loop item on this day. We're going to take one off on that day. So it's very flexible. I can kind of adjust that week to week, and we just work through the loop, and we just, as things drop off, then we can go a little faster. If I want to add in something, usually I don't add things in, but we can add things in and just add it into the loop, and they just loop through until they're done. And this year I am trying to finish off a lot of these programs. So I didn't add a whole lot of new things, and I didn't even plan on replacing things. So for example, I'm not planning on replacing my youngest son's wordly wise. He's just going to finish it this year. I felt like that's enough, and we can take a break. I really enjoy it. I think we will continue with it, but I'm not going to add a new one this year. And then that same son, like I said, he's going to be finishing this pretty early in the year. My middle son, he's going to be finishing his spelling, you see, at some point, probably towards the end of the year. But when he finishes it, I'm not going to start him on a new level until the upcoming school year. So I'm just trying to let some things drop off and not be pushing too hard. So that is how I plan out to kind of prepare for my kids' independent work, what I'm thinking about during the summer, how I'm just getting ready, getting systems in place to be prepared to start the school year, just have these templates and schedules and loops kind of ready so that I can just print them off and start planning. I hope that was helpful to you. I'm sorry this video was so long, but I hope it's interesting enough for you. Let me know if you have any questions. This schedule here, the ones that I'm showing here with the boys, that is one that I've used for all my kids at the very beginning. It has worked well for me, and then this looping has really worked well for me too. It's just a matter of deciding, what do I want to happen for sure every day, every week? And what are some things that we don't have to do them every day or exactly twice a week? Like, we can just kind of loop through, let things fall where they fall. Thank you so much for coming today. Don't forget to check my playlist for all my planning videos if you want more long, rambling planning videos. I hope your summer is going well, and let me know, have you started homeschooling? I know some of you have probably started homeschooling by the time you see this. We don't start, well, I like to start mid-August, and that's earlier than all the schools around here, but we have a lot of vacation stuff happening in August, so we're not going to start till end of August at the earliest, probably closer to beginning of September after Labor Day. Yeah, so let me know where you are in your homeschool planning. Thanks for coming today, and I hope to see you all in a future video. Bye, everyone.